She laughed when she said it, not cruelly, not loudly, but with that dismissive softness that somehow hurt more than shouting. "You're just a golden retriever," she told me. "Always loyal, always happy to please. I need an alpha." The word hung in the air between us, sharp and final. We were standing in the bedroom, her suitcase half packed on the bed, my hands at my sides like I didn't know what to do with them anymore. I felt myself shrink in that moment, not because I believed her, but because I had loved her enough to let her define me. For years I had been exactly what she described: supportive, patient, the man who brought her coffee in the morning and listened to her vent at night. I celebrated her wins louder than my own and softened myself around her rough days. I thought that was love. I thought being safe, consistent, and kind was something to be proud of. Somewhere along the way, she decided it was boring. She told me about him without hesitation. Confident, dominant, exciting. She said he challenged her, made her feel alive. She said she felt seen in a way she never had with me. Each comparison carved a little more space between who I was and who she wanted. When I asked when it started, she rolled her eyes and said it didn't matter. "This is who I am now," she said. "I need more than what you can give." I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I nodded slowly, like I was taking notes on my own replacement. Inside, something went quiet. Not numb, not angry, just still. She mistook that stillness for weakness. She finished packing and told me she'd be staying with him for a while, like she was doing me a favor by being honest. Before she left, she patted my arm and said, "You'll be okay. You're good at being alone." Then she walked out with the certainty of someone who believes they've already won. The days after she left were heavy and strange. The house echoed differently. I caught myself listening for her footsteps, her laugh, the small sounds that had once irritated me and now felt irreplaceable. Friends checked in, careful with their words. Some said I deserved better. Some said she'd realize what she lost. I didn't respond much. I was too busy untangling the idea that love meant changing yourself to be enough for someone else. Weeks passed. I started doing things I had put off for years. Long walks, early mornings, quiet evenings without explaining myself to anyone. I remembered parts of myself I had tucked away to keep the peace. The more I settled into that calm, the clearer everything became. I hadn't been weak. I had been generous. And generosity had been mistaken for submission. The panic started subtly. Missed calls at first, late at night. Messages that sounded casual but weren't. "Just checking in. Hope you're okay." I didn't respond right away, not out of spite, but because I no longer felt the urgency. When I finally did, I was polite, brief, distant. That shift unsettled her more than anger ever could. She showed up at the house one afternoon unannounced. She looked different, tired, less sure. She scanned the room like she was looking for something familiar and couldn't find it. "You seem different," she said. I smiled and told her I was doing well. That seemed to bother her. She asked if I was seeing someone. I said no. I didn't add that I was finally seeing myself clearly. That's when she told me things weren't working out the way she expected. That the alpha energy she craved came with control, unpredictability, and a lack of safety she hadn't anticipated. She said she missed how I made her feel secure. She said maybe she had been too harsh. She watched my face closely, waiting for relief, for hope, for anything that would reassure her she still had a place here. I felt sad for her. Truly. But not in the way she expected. I didn't rush to comfort her or promise to fix things. I told her calmly that I hoped she found what she was looking for, but I wasn't interested in being compared or diminished anymore. The words seemed to knock the air out of her. She asked when I had become so cold. I told her I hadn't. I had just stopped begging to be valued. She cried then, quietly, frustrated and afraid. She said she hadn't meant to hurt me, that she was just being honest. I nodded. Honesty, I had learned, doesn't excuse cruelty. She asked if there was still a chance. I looked around the room, at the life I was rebuilding piece by piece, and realized I didn't want to go back to a version of myself that thought love had to be earned through obedience. When she left that day, it felt different from the first time. Lighter. Final. I didn't collapse afterward. I didn't replay her words on a loop. I sat down and let myself feel the sadness without letting it define me. She wanted an alpha. What she never understood was that strength isn't about dominance or volume. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to be shamed for it. Sometimes I still hear her voice in my head, calling me a golden retriever like it was an insult. Now it makes me smile sadly. Loyal, loving, steady. Those weren't flaws. They were gifts she didn't know how to hold. She panicked when she realized I wasn't waiting anymore, when the man she thought would always stay finally chose himself. And that choice, quiet and unremarkable on the outside, was the bravest thing I had ever done.